What's up everyone, and welcome back to Shifting Gears. I've got this episode broken down into two parts, which you can find linked below. But apparently you're the brave souls who want to give it a listen all at once, so more power to you. As always, the guest profiles are linked below, and I have my personal opinions typed up in a PDF down below. So without further ado, here we go. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Shifting Gears. Today we're going to be discussing Horde mode, but more specifically we're going to be talking about speedruns and quitters. As usual, before we hop into all the topics, let's get to know our panel. So we're just going to go around in the order I have you guys on my screen. So, Grouch, we'll start with you.
I'm Grouch on Couch. I've been playing Gears of War since 2006. Raised two sons that are now 19 and 16, both gamers, both love Gears as well. I play Gears in Horde mode, basically what the team wants to adapt to. Mainly use sentries for support fire and let the team actually fire some weapons. I have done a lot of speed runs. My favorite class is Scout, and earned my Seriously 4.0 on January 24th, 2017. And my re-up 10 was done on December 19th, 2016.
Wow.
762 matches played of Gears 4 Horde.
Jesus. Alright, Pope, you are up next.
Alright, so I'm Pope Adrian, 37th. Been playing Gears since 06. I was the only person camped outside of my Game Crazy to pick up my copy that I pre-ordered, so pretty into the series. I don't stream or do anything competitive on that nature. I just follow people that do. So not big on the scene in that sense, but I do support it. So mostly when I'm playing Horde, though, I'm mostly sticking to speedruns these days. I'd say the most common class that I play is the Engineer, and I'm pretty adaptable to most situations. So if people all of a sudden decide we're going to do just a regular playthrough, I mean, I can hold my own. So
right.
I mean, I've been playing Horde since there was no fortifications at all, so it's not too bad as long as I get in cover.
Yep.
Right.
Alright, and lastly, Neff, you are up.
Alright, my name is Nefred. I've been playing Gears of War since 06. I think I was like 13 or something, or younger than that when I started playing Gears, and I pretty much stuck with it since. I had my mother pre-order Gears of War 2 along with my Xbox 360 at the time, and I remember waiting at Target to get it, and it was just one of the best things for me. When it comes to Horde, I was playing pretty much like a speedrun. I'm pretty much like a speedrunner, but I pretty much stopped recently because of not really finding anything else to do. But hopefully we can go through things here.
Yep. Alright, I guess why not?
What's your favorite class?
Oh yeah,
my favorite class was Scout because it grew out of people were not really doing it right, and a mixture of just being a tanky person who can just pretty much not really do a mix between damage and reviving teammates if they're like paper and I'm like a rock.
Alright. So I guess real quick, I'm Chaps. I have been playing since 06, I think. December of 06. I started out Horde just trying to figure out the meta and figure out different ways of playing. Then I evolved into pretty much doing nothing but speedruns for a while. And I don't play Horde that much anymore, but when I do, it's mostly me trying to find a way to have fun with it, whether it's like melees only or no fortifications or just something to change it up. But with all of us covered now, let's go ahead and hop into today's topics. So first of all, welcome guys. Thanks for joining me. Forgot to say that earlier.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me too.
Yep. So I wanted to start off by talking about the quitting problem in Horde, as I assume that's probably going to, we're going to talk about speedruns because obviously that's going to come out of the quitting problem.
Okay.
So whenever there's a problem, it's good to start looking for like the root cause. What's the root cause of the problem? And in my mind, it's broken down into a few main things. First, it's simply that people don't want to play a full set of waves. Maybe they're quitting because they don't want to play a full 50 or a full 25, or maybe they're just trying to complete a small bounty. We also have the people who don't agree with the playstyle of other players. And the last main reason that I see is people not liking the map that may have been picked, because we all know it's just an RNG map that's played.
Okay.
Obviously, each of these has some subcategories to it, which we can discuss, but I think generally those are like the main reasons I see the quitting problem arising. So that, I'm going to open it up to you guys. Is there any of those, or even another one that you can think of that really stands out that you want to start off talking about?
Go ahead. Somebody go.
I would say the quitters mainly.
What's that?
How about the quitters?
Yeah, so I guess which aspect of people quitting do you think we should start?
It's because of the long 50 waves.
Okay, yeah. So, they did say...
I can definitely weigh in. I mean, if anybody else, I mean, like, just because I am streaming. Once again, I've only been streaming for about 8 months, so, like,
yeah,
this is all kind of new to me. But, like, big things I've noticed is wave, like you said, map selection. I think that has a big play into it. Like, people get into there and you're forced into the lobby. Like, you're locked there. You can't quit the game. You can't get out beforehand to let us cycle in a new random player that wants to play on the map, doesn't care.
Yep.
You know, like, so you're locked there. So then everybody gets into the game and then people quit. The other thing I think that maybe is a subcategory, like you were saying, is classes. Somebody comes into the lobby, they are set as engineer, somebody else is set as engineer.
Yeah.
If nobody moves off that position, you know one of those people are quitting.
Yep.
Guaranteed.
Pretty much.
Guaranteed.
Yeah.
It happens all the time. I count quitters on the stream. So, like, it happens all the time. And I will say that I get the most amount of quitters at higher difficulties with randoms.
Yeah, I think that's the case because people want to make sure to have a solid team and not sit there with a duplicate of a class that can't really do stuff. If you have double engineers, it's not really as beneficial as like having 2 heavies.
Right, and not, you know, like I said, that's basically comes down to nobody's using their mic, or that's the class that person wants to play, and if the other person's not going to switch off, I'll just recycle in. But like I said, if we could just quit out during that and let somebody else cycle in, because you're on the countdown, you're on a minute something countdown regardless, so like somebody else cycles in, you know, like let us leave. Or let us vote. Like, why can't we
change your
vote?
class every 10 waves or something like that, so at least you have that flexibility. I think you run into that issue where all of a sudden somebody picks the engineer and you're like, all right, fine, that's fine, be the engineer. And then 5 waves in, you're like, this dude doesn't know how to play engineer. We need a new one. And this guy's pot committed that he's gonna be their engineer, and now he's just terrible. So you get people that are leaving out of frustration, and then if you had the ability to change, you could at least cycle and see, okay, I gave it a shot. Now that's not working. Let's try something different rather than stop the entire game.
Yeah, I also sort of think that Gears players are a little quick to react. So even if you could change at wave 10, I bet a lot of people would still quit out before you even hit that time to change.
Yeah.
But one of the big, like, highly requested things from the community that Grouch, it's something you brought up, is quitting while in the lobby. Like, if you don't like the map, or you see 4 people selecting sniper and you are like, okay, obviously this is not going to go well. One, I don't want to sit through the entire like 2-minute cycle to load up a match and quit out, but like, let us just quit there and load up a new one.
And I will say, I mean, like, I will comment on your comment about, like, the longer waves and things like that. I think that does play into some people leaving. But with the introduction of the frenzies and the monster mashes and the lights and these 25 wave experiences, that number has dropped significantly for me. Like, I don't see that as much because people have the time to do that 25 wave experience, you know, instead of having to sit out through a 50 wave one, you know?
I think that's one of the best things they've done for Horde is adding that 25 option.
Right.
Yeah, that has been a good option.
Yep.
And anytime I join a public match for a monster match, even like last night I did one, and it was just me and 4 different random people, and nobody quit out, nobody had mics and communicated the entire time, but everybody played to their class, and it was actually a really fun match. But it's just kind of, there's clearly a demographic that just wants a smaller Horde experience with the kind of same credit and XP reward that a full match would give them.
Yeah. So one thing the Coalition's brought up a lot, I don't remember the exact numbers, but I think it was like Gears 3, people on average played 10 waves of Horde and then left. And in Gears 4, I think that number's up to like 20 waves or something like that on average.
It's probably something like that.
What? I have no idea. What do you guys think is a driver behind that? What's keeping people playing longer?
Credits.
Credits
And packs. Because I mean, there's a real divide. I mean, there's a lot of people that come in that are versus players on Gears and give me crap because I'm playing Horde and streaming Horde.
Come on, baby.
Yeah.
You know, like, because they think that's and I'm like, no, I'm just a co-op type player. You know, like, I like playing with friends or random people that you work together as a team. You have a team objective. It's not necessarily about the kills in this version of Horde. It's more about getting the team from 1 to 50 without failing.
Yeah.
You know, and I like that aspect, and that's what, you know, so, but it's all credit driven in my opinion. So it really is, like, people are sticking around longer. Like, if they would have had Gears 3 a way to turn on mutators on a random search, that number would have been way higher for Gears 3. Because I played a ton of private Horde with mutators with my friends over and over in Gears 3.
Yeah,
same here.
But you couldn't do that on a public, right? So,
I pretty much only played private Horde.
That's exactly my point. That, like, once we got the mutators, like, everybody was on private with their friends.
Yeah.
There was no need for public, you know. So, like, if they would have introduced a public mutator Horde for Gears 3, I think that number would have been higher than Gears 4, even without credits and, you know, packs involved.
And credits really are a double-edged sword. We have that drive to make people want to play more because they want to get those credits. But at the same time, as we all knew, this conversation was going to evolve into speedruns at some point.
Right.
And, I mean, what's the root of speedruns? It's people wanting credits.
Well, I mean, part of it really started out with the credits, but especially once you get into, like, the re-up 10 and the wings, you're almost like, it feels like you're doing yourself a disservice if you actually want to level up still. If you're trying to play versus playing Horde, because you're going to make so little progress. Like, that bar moves so ridiculously slow.
It is. It's terrible.
Yeah, I'm at Wings 356, I believe it is.
I'm thinking I'm at Wings 2 still at like 68 or 67.
I think I'm around like Wings 370-ish,
right.
I think. Yeah, and it's crazy slow.
Right. It's so slow, right.
And like, so yeah, I started out doing speedruns for the credits, and then slowly it evolved into okay, how can I optimize this? Essentially an optimization problem. It's like, what other maps could we do? How could we trap spawns? Like, so actually, I found it kind of fun trying to figure out what we could possibly do to make existing speedruns better or find new ones.
Like, to me, they gave us the tools. The whole point of the Fabricator, I love it. Like, I loved everything. Like, I love all the new introductions to Horde. I really do. I think, like, the class system and the Fabricator and being able to move objects wherever the hell we want, you know, like, I think that's brilliant, right? And that's, like you're saying, like, it's part of you. Like, you just want to see where you can push this to, where can you do this?
Yeah.
Like, what, you know, that's fine. And, you know, I don't think they expected people to break the game as much as we broke it.
Yeah, I completely agree on your point where I do like the change from 3 to 4 where you can actually move everything around and place wherever you want to place instead of being locked down, because it offers that freedom. But yeah, but it also leads to that problem of people breaking things that developers didn't intend to.
Right. Yeah, I mean it's all farmed on. Yeah, but it's all based on credits, in my opinion, too. Like we all started off like when the packs were heavy, and you wanted all the new content. And the game was fresh, right? Anybody that was doing Horde was speedrunning it because of the fact that you needed those credits. And
Yeah, those PTSD days with the UIR packs and those 4,400.
right.
Oh my goodness.
Right. Yeah. Like, I mean, that's, like we all did it. I mean, I was there. I
Yep.
bought those packs at that price, like,
Same here.
like, so, and I've been there for every Horde glitch and every speed run that's come out because the game's broken when they release it. I've been there for all of it, like Foundation when you could use the team revive trick.
Yeah.
Anybody do that one?
Yep.
You did that one, Jap. So
Oh,
Certain ones were a lot more fun than
Oh
others.
yeah, I absolutely did that one.
Right. I mean, it's just, we farmed it, and the packs now that the packs are kind of slowing down and stuff and I just play because I love the mode and I want other people to love the mode.
Yeah.
So
I guess the Foundation one brings up a point, and that is they patched a lot of stuff. They've I don't know, someone's hammering downstairs. That's weird. All right. Anyways, they've patched a lot of stuff. Mainly the Hammer of Dawn's a really big one. Turrets and sentries are other ones that they've patched. But one of the main reasons they've seemingly patched these is to counter speedruns. And I guess that has a big impact on the way people play normal games as well. And do you guys think it's right for them to be patching the speedruns by things that are affecting other players as well?
I'll let some of the other guys weigh in first.
Essentially handicap the standard mode.
Yeah, that's pretty much a double-edged sword on that part too, because on one way it curves the speed running, but it also hurts the normal players because maybe they don't speed run or don't know how to do it, and because their stuff is getting nerfed overall because of people who speed run, it kind of feels bad for them in a way. I mean, I speed run a little bit here and there, but I can see why they nerf these things to try to curve it.
Yeah,
I think like the Sentry one became they started nerfing the Sentries not only because of the speedrun, but because that kind of mentality of, well, this is the best option kind of flowed over into the standard.
Yeah, it really
Horde
did
as well.
Right.
Yeah,
And
really
eventually it became people pushing them out so far that it turned a regular run into a speed run about halfway through.
Yeah.
But they created that monster by nerfing the turrets.
Yeah,
Nobody,
absolutely.
I didn't run into nearly as many engineers using sentries the way they're used until the turrets got nerfed. Once you got the turrets nerfed, then sentries became the key thing. And Octus showed up in the stream one day, and I play with one of my friends is Birdie, right? And she uses sentries all the time, and we were just annihilating. He came in because we were playing the first introduction of Horde Frenzy.
Yeah.
Like it was when, and there's some guy streaming Horde. What the hell's going on? He shows up and he started he told us there was sentry nerfs were coming. She can't use shocks because she has epilepsy, so she can't use those because she might have a seizure.
Yeah.
So like they nerfed her favorite tool. Like we use level 3 sentries now because they're better than level 4s.
Yeah, because the level 3s don't take as much to repair as 4s, where 4s is pretty much like a money sink.
Right.
But
back to the speed running thing in general, like with just using sentries and things like that. Yeah, I mean I see that all the time, and the changing of the cards and the value that it costs me after I've earned a level 5 Horde card. And my Hammer Dawn used to be 8,000, and now it's costing me 13,000, and I put in the hours to get.
Yeah, I know a lot of my friends upgraded their Hammer of Dawn card right away because it's like, oh wow, this is awesome. Yep. But now you're making the card terrible for us, and it was a waste of our scrap.
Right. Yeah, I mean that's like I spent so much scrap to have my cards done, and I've never spent a single real dollar. I've done it all through in-game currency. I've never bought a single pack with real money. And, I've done all my scrapping and all that with, so when they change the value of a card, to me, that's borderline like, You gave me these tools, and you didn't
Yeah.
realize how good the tools were.
It also, it really creates a higher barrier to entry too. Because if you think about, a lot of us have a lot of our cards maxed out, and they're nerfing it, and we just have to figure out how to adapt. But think
Pretty
about
much.
the newer players who don't have their cards maxed, and it's like, oh well, now their level 1 Hammer of Dawn cost them 13 grand, or their turret that they don't have any damage buffs for cost them 40k to. Is it 40k? That's 40k after discount, isn't it?
Oh,
No,
you do the math,
no,
but it's a
actually
lot
30.
of money.
I know. With the turret discount and the general discount, it's down to 36 at level 4.
Yeah, so it's like 80k for a non-discounted turret. Like,
Oh yeah, that's right. Level 4 turret is 80. Yeah, I know that for sure.
it's
Yeah,
like, oh my god.
And you would think that would be really strong. Cause it's like, oh, it's 80k.
But
It
it's
must be
nerfed.
really strong.
That's
It's
good.
not.
If you could remove the patches from the game and go back to the level 4 turret when it launched, you'd be annihilating everything on the map. You know, like those things were amazing. But
Yeah.
level 4 turret now is not a level 4 turret. You know, not what the
No.
game launched with. And I get that. You know, I don't have any problem with them doing things like that with the weapons, adjusting that stuff. I have problems with the cards.
The cards are what you have a hard
Because
time
there's
with.
money involved. Like, if
Yeah.
I would have spent real money,
Yeah,
I would have been furious when that had happened. Like,
Yeah, that's a
if I
good
was,
point.
if I had a level 5 hammer before everybody else because I spent the money to get the horde card there, and then you make it 5,000 more from the fabricator, like that to me is like you're affecting something I purchased technically. You know?
yeah,
So,
that's a good point.
you know.
I do agree that, like, speedruns show off things in Horde that they show off the exploits, like the sentry thing. People weren't using those, and then people discovered in speedruns how amazing they are, and then
And
it made
then
its
it
way
just-
to general Horde. So I
And
agree
it
some
just dominates at this point.
Yeah, and I agree some things like that should eventually be patched. But then there's other things like the Hammer of Dawn keeps coming up, and that's one of the ones where that wasn't really getting abused much in Standard Horde. It was being abused in speedruns. And I really don't feel that that is one that... It probably should have been patched a little bit. Like maybe the first little nerf they did to it. But then they
You know, like
kept
the first one.
they kept
All I
doing
can-
it.
Go ahead.
And it just doesn't seem right to me to patch something that is only fixing, or it's not right to patch something that's going to affect non-speedrunners just because you're trying to prevent speedruns.
Right. You should fix the
Yeah.
spawn point. You should
Yeah,
fix the problem with the map.
spawn point is mainly the whole thing with on speedrunning at this point, because everybody pretty much abuses spawn points for most maps that can be run, and also because of the Hammer of Dawn stuff that pretty much the soldier class is only good for its grenades at this point, because the Lancer and the assault
Or
rifle
non-fortification runs.
yeah, not for fortification runs. The Lancers and the all the other assault rifle weapons are not doing as much damage that they should be doing, or doing enough damage to keep up with the difficulty spike per each difficulty going up from normal. Because if most people would not really rather see a soldier and rather see a heavy, because you know the heavy would actually AoE kill things with drop shots and
Yeah.
boom shots.
So a lot of people who don't do speedruns, and seemingly the Coalition a little bit, want to have, or they seem like they want to eliminate speedruns from the game. And what are your
Yeah, it
thoughts
seems as
on like eliminating them?
I'm gonna let somebody,
I
I
don't
feel
think it's
like
going
I'm
to make
talking the
them
most.
their gameplay any better. Is the people that are very against speedruns, if they are taken out, it's not going to make their gameplay more rewarding. So, to each their own, I guess. I don't particularly see it being the best use of resources by the coalition's part to
Yeah.
focus all their time in trying to get rid of speedruns rather than addressing the issues that people keep bringing up. I mean, obviously the Nasher is going to be an endless debate,
Yeah.
but rather than focusing on that or the actual spawn problems that people are being able to manipulate them in such extreme fashions, they're focusing on, well, let me devalue something, or let me patch and make this weaker. So I just think it's kind of less of a priority. It should be less of a priority.
Yeah, I agree with Pope on this one, where it should be less of a priority and fix stuff that's more important, such as hit detection, and sometimes right now with the current NVIDIA problem, and pretty much anything else at this point other than Horde for right now, as in not devoting not devoting a whole bunch of resources to it, but devoting most of the resources to other things.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's we all know that's kind of be their focus at this point. Like, I don't think there's another Horde update coming, for Gears 4. I don't think there's anything major coming. Like, we're gonna get these events, which is fantastic. I love that I'm earning skins. That's awesome. That's a great thing. And but I think for the future, I think they need to think ahead. I think Gears needs to adapt the enemies come from anywhere. Yeah, we can still have a fabricator and we can build whatever crazy, like, keep what you got going, expand on it like you guys touched on already in the last panel. Expand on that, bring us more. But, like, I want the enemies to come from any direction.
More randomized.
The base needs to be around us. Like, we can't leave the fabricator. Like, they're going to come from no matter where. Like, just bring it. Just bring it on. We have all these tools, so fix spawn. You fix the spawn. You fix the speed runs by making us not be able to find those points. And I mean, I'm sure people are going to find them regardless. Like, there's going to be some way to do it, but it's going to take a lot more work because they will come from every direction. You won't. I mean, like, let's talk about, like, the distance of the fabricator. You know what I'm talking about, chaps. You can drag the fabricator to a certain distance on every map in this game. And behind you is a ginormous
dead zone
space that could be enemies. That would fix speedruns immediately. If we set the fab down one day and they didn't tell us that they fixed that, and all of a sudden the enemies are behind the fabricator because you pulled it way too far, like, make you have to tuck that thing in a corner somewhere and, like, build, I think they can do it, but I know that's not a focus for Gears 4 anymore, unfortunately. I think that'll be a Gears 5 thing, but I think that's a way to possibly prevent them a little bit more, is more randomized every direction type attitude, kind of like zombies or something like that. Zombies, they can come from anywhere. So
I completely agree with that, where if you make it go to a corner instead of having it in one general area and make nothing spawn near it, or make it more challenging and cut down on speedruns a lot, because you just can't force spawns when everything's spawning around you.
Yeah.
And I think that would take it more to the classic Horde feel, because previously Horde started out as feeling like a non-stop, endless battle that hopefully you can reach it to wave 50, but it continuously was coming. There wasn't that much of a break. Now I feel like it's much more toned down, in the sense that whenever I finish a wave, I know for sure I have 30 seconds to fix and kind of relax and take it easy and recoup. And if we're on a different page, I can talk to my teammates and say, all right, where are we going to focus? Where are they spawning at in large numbers, versus that continuous effect of they're just coming. It kind of takes away from that survival feel.
Right.
So when I was in Vegas for the esports event last year, we were talking with Liam, and my friend Schwartz brought up what I think is probably the best view on speedruns that I've heard, and it's the Coalition should not focus on patching speedruns for the purpose of patching speedrun, or they shouldn't patch things because of speedruns. The community will continue to find ways around it, and they'll continue to break the game. What needs to be done is, if they don't want people speedrunning, which obviously they don't because people are getting credits faster, they're going to be spending less money. But if they want to reduce the amount of speedrunning, they need to provide incentives to not speedrun. Provide incentives to play the game the way they want people to play it.
Right.
So
that's where I really struggle too, because my incentive with the speedruns is really to get credits and get XP as fast as possible and as little work as possible. versus multiplayer, I go in there and yeah, I have a more enjoyable experience in a sense that I'm using my brain a little more than just that basic do this, get that. But I feel like the reward is just not there. I mean, especially with the hassles that I have encountered with the ranking system as it is. My incentive when I'm trying to play matchmaking is all right. If I'm sacrificing XP and credits, the ratio that I'm going to receive those versus the time I put into Horde, what's my incentive? I guess my incentive is to get a new tier, try to reach that diamond status. But no matter how many wins I got, my percentage would never go up. So the frustration was, well, versus is doing nothing for me, so I might as well go back to speedruns, I guess.
So what are your thoughts on, like, what could the coalition what could the coalition do to incentivize people to not speedrun? Or maybe not incentivize them to not speedrun, but incentivize them to play whatever way it is that the coalition thinks people should play.
I think Jingle Juvies. Go ahead.
Yeah, Frenzy is a great example because you're earning these skins in real time, and they're skins that actually are appealing versus a new DB that's got repainted. And the fact that I'm getting them in real time versus, all right, now I got to register here on the website. Now I got to go into the game, meet this weird expectation, and then maybe a month down the line I'll get my skin. Now I'm playing the match, I'm getting my skin. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm having a lot more fun because I'm getting my reward.
Yep. And I was going to point out with the Jingle Juvies, chaps, you probably know the numbers. What was the fortification damage thing? And
where fortifications had like no health, pretty much.
Right. So I mean, like that was, to me, that was a challenge, and there should have been. They should continue to go that path, like what you're saying. If you want an incentive, like give us a mode where the only thing we can build out of the box is fences and decoys. Put it on a playlist of 25 waves. You put your normal and insane that they've been doing, to have different audiences, right?
Or just private matches with mutators.
Right. Yep.
The harder you make it for yourself, the more credits you get.
Back. Right. Yeah, exactly. We all want mutators in the harder capacity or the positive. If you just want to goof off with your friends, who doesn't want that super reload back, or so mutators would help a lot.
I think would also make them a little more appealing is this is obviously something that would have to be pushed out till 5, but if you're going to have 5 card slots for 50 waves, have 1 card slot unlock each 10 waves, so that way each skill that you're gaining each time is like, all right, what do I got to put them in order, so that way I know what I'm going to need based on what kind of enemies I'm getting.
That would
now
be interesting.
I'm getting into the heavy waves.
Yeah, that would be a really good
one. Really into my heavy weapon damage, stuff like that would kind of make it more interesting.
Yeah, I think that'd actually be a really interesting way to play the game.
I don't know if they couldn't even do that that could be a playlist event list, why not? Like, maybe you assign them in a certain order anyways in the interface. So that's how they would assign every 10, boom. Whatever you set. That's a good idea, man. I like that. That's good.
So one of the incentives I can think of, I'm kind of curious on your opinion, is so I do like the Horde 1 to 50, but the 1 to 25 thing they introduced is pretty cool. If you look at how long it takes to do a standard run versus a speed run, on a 1 to 50, it might be an hour and a half versus 3 hours. So there's an hour and a half difference for the same reward. On a 1 to 25 playlist, you might be looking at, like, if you're able to speedrun that, I don't know, Grouch, what do you think, like, just under an hour? Or, no, probably 45 minutes?
45 minutes is usually what I hit. And, it depends on your difficulty. If we're talking inconceivables, probably an hour.
But, like, 45 minutes versus a non-speed run taking still less than an hour and a half.
Right.
That's a 45-minute gap between those two, not an hour and a half. So reducing
is a long time.
Reducing the gap between how long it takes to do a standard run or a speed run is really, reducing the number of waves in Horde is a really easy way to do that. I wouldn't go any lower than 25, but I do like the 25 system that they have.
I just don't know why they haven't introduced a bounty card yet.
A 25 bounty?
Right, why not? Like, just, I mean, like, why not throw it out there that we can craft that? I mean, if people are playing it,
they really need to just patch. There's a 20 bounty, right?
Yeah, we use that all the time, but
just
then
they need to patch that and just make that a 25 bounty. There's no point in having a 20 bounty now if you can change it to a 25.
That would go back to your quitter thing.
Yeah.
Because I get that in these runs that we do on the stream, man. Like, we'll do these monster mashes with public, right? And people quit at 20 because they hit the bounty card.
Yep. Yeah, so if they change it to 25,
and the only incentive to stay at the end
is 25.
Is that card you get, right? You get a drop. You get a drop.
Which that's a great incentive that they added to stop people from quitting. Is those
I just
drops.
wish that drop was guaranteed to be something higher.
Yeah.
You know, just whether it be a an epic, at least, like, guarantee a Horde epic for some of these new players. I mean, the game's on Xbox Game Pass at this point, so people coming in that are new to Horde, they need to be able to move these cards up, and that would be a guarantee. You stay to 25 or you stay to 50. I think 50 should drop too. I really do. You know, like, if you're doubling up your waves, then
drop in private already.
Right. Yeah, they should drop in private. That's ridiculous that they don't. You know, we're putting the waves in. It's on my wave. It's on my war journal. I put the waves in. Yep. Just because I didn't play it publicly, I should earn those things still. You know, so I agree.
So, are there any other things you guys can think of ways to provide incentive to not speedrun? Like, allow it to still be there. If people find enjoyment in speedrunning, like, I know I would still try to find some stuff to speedrun just because I would enjoy trying to figure out how I can, quote-unquote, break the game. Right. But to provide incentive for those people out there who are only doing it for the credits, what kind of incentive? What other incentives could we give to not speedrun?
You pretty much covered most of the points that I would have brought up, because having the card changed from 20 to 25 is a good option. Having more incentives at end of the 25, you get something that's not just a standard green or blue card to help for new people, but we have better incentive. And honestly, I can't really come up with anything else new, because both you and Grouch came up with pretty much everything that I would have brought up.
The only other thing I can think of really is like the scoring system. If your credits is based off the scoring system and they base the scoring system around something that makes you score lower for doing speedruns.
I mean, one of the things that I hate to say, nerf your credit ratio based on the time it took, because obviously if you're doing just a standard run, you're not going to finish an Iron Man Inconceivable run in less than an hour and a half. So if it's under an hour and a half, you could say, all right, the XP ratio is just going to be standard. But if you're doing over that ratio, then clearly you're likely doing a standard run, and you're going to receive maybe like a 1.2% rate that someone that did the run in under an hour and a half did. And I guess the incentive there would be, most of the people doing speedruns are thinking, how many can I do within a certain time? So they're not wanting to prolong that just for that extra bit of credits, versus somebody that's, all right, we can get more credits if we just keep speedrunning. We're not going to get that extra incentive, but we're going to get more matches done. So I guess that's a way that they could counter it. But
having some sort of cap would be an interesting way to solve it. I know that would anger a lot of people, but they got smart people at the Coalition. They could probably figure out a way to put some sort of soft cap on there based on time.
And then you get into the situation, though, what's considered time, what's considered a speed run.
Yeah.
Like, so if I do an inconceivable run, like, I have setups where I don't consider them speed runs, but I still do an inconceivable 50 waves in under, let's say, 85 minutes.
Yeah. Is
that speed run? Or does the speed run count?
No, I'd say I could do an inconceivable in 90 minutes, so...
Right,
yeah, I mean, if you have the right team, if you're just doing it with a whole bunch of strangers, you may take longer, but I guess it's not reasonable, but I mean, Yeah, exactly. Then you have to really define what it is a speed run.
Right, and that becomes a tough thing because then you start limiting people on tools and like because I mean everybody turns like we said, sentries become the overpowered tool.
Yeah.
At some point, it's very noticeable. Like if you're completing, in my opinion, if you're completing every wave in the match in under a minute, you're probably speedrunning, right?
Probably.
You know, like that to me is data that they definitely have. I mean, there's
or if you complete multiple waves in a row in less than 10 seconds, right. You're probably.
I always made a joke on the stream, man, because we would get the waiting for players thing, and anytime we would ever do it, it would be like we were speedrunning. And like we would be clearing waves so quickly, and then we'd have to sit there for like 2 minutes while the waiting for players thing just spin on the screen. I'm like, come on. So,
yeah.
But yeah, like it's fast.
Speaking of that, waiting for players,
like anything under a minute.
The Monster Mash or Jingle Juvies, I'm going crazy waiting for players on that first 10 wave.
Right.
I think they fixed that by now, but I'm not sure if they fixed it like relatively. As in, I know they fixed it yesterday, where they fixed the drop rate of it. Because those Midnight Omen skins were not dropping 100% of the time.
Yeah. But
now they fixed it so it is on any difficulty from Frenzy. Yeah, I keep confusing Monster Mash with Frenzy because when I got my first skin it was on Monster Mash, but apparently they changed it to Frenzy. But
back to your incentives, just real quick. I mean, the only other thing I can think of is, like I said, you can kind of take those ideas that they did in Jingle Juvie. But I think the incentives have to be some type of exclusive point, like something that you only earn because you do this event at that time. And if you miss the opportunity, you miss the opportunity, and have it go for a month so everybody gets a fair shake at it. Whether you work during the weekdays, weekends, whatever it may be. But like, and then bring in ideas.
We need a Horde character, like a Horde rewarded character already. Characters seem to be
right.
I mean, weapon skins are cool, but people go for the characters. I would think.
Oh yeah.
That's the incentive is to get the characters before you get the skins.
Yeah, like who wouldn't want to have Barrack back, or like something.
Yeah.
Like just something that's exclusive. You have to do it. And here's your like they took away the barrier health, so why not take away like okay, you can't build sentries from the box at all.
Yeah. I think going forward in Gears 5, having some sort of mutators where there's fortification limiting mutators in Horde, where, hey, you can choose to play this private match where you turn off fortifications, and if you do that, you will get double credits or something like that.
Yep. Yeah, and that's an incentive too. I mean, because we all know the pack system's not going anywhere. It's just the future of games in general, right? So, yeah, I mean, if you get through this playlist that we've come up with where you don't have sentries being built and you only can play it on Insane or Inconceivable, like as a public choice, you have to struggle through the highest difficulties, and at the end you have double credits or a character waiting for you. Yeah. That's going to keep people around. That's going to keep people playing until the next game or the next event, So.
Yeah. Well, also, if you just have something that clearly says complete wave 50 guarantees a character in bold on that playlist when you select it, that's going to go a whole lot more ways. And the message of the day is great, but unfortunately some people jumping in are just like, I don't care what you're telling me, I just want to play right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so a little note like that can go a long ways.
Yeah, on the topic of the sentence, I remember Gears of War 3 had a thing where if you played X amount of Horde, you would have got Griffin out of it, because originally he was locked by a medal.
Yep.
For Gears of War 3, where you had to get X amount of things in Horde, and you would have got him. I know before that they had like a Facebook thing for Gears of War 2, where you can get him in 3, but that was a really good incentive because it was a really good character, not a reskin, not a recolor, a genuine unique character that was only unlockable by that way.
Yeah. So we started out talking about quit penalties a little bit, or not quit penalties, but quitting, and then we moved into speedruns. Let's get back to like we'll finish up stuff talking about quitting again.
Okay.
So I mentioned quit penalties. What are your thoughts on those to begin with? Quit penalties in Horde.
Need to be
Talking
harsher.
quit penalties for a timeout, like they do now for versus. Like
Yeah. Or any type of quit penalties. Do you guys think that they should be implemented?
Yes.
I don't think they can put them in there until they solve the issue of why people are quitting, which is, like we said, some of the core issues of the lobby system not being able to actually have a voice on it versus just here's the map. Like you said, incentives. So I mean, if people have no incentive, they're not going to be. They're just here to do 20 waves, and they're going to turn off their Xbox. A match penalty or a timeout's not going to mean anything to them. So
yeah,
I mean, there should be one, but the problem, like Pope just said, is trying to figure out why people keep quitting over and over. And just punishing them straight out wouldn't work until that problem is fixed. So when after the problem is fixed and people are just quitting, then there's a penalty. But until then, not really. They shouldn't put one until that's fixed.
Yeah, I mean, when you do a root cause analysis on a problem and you figure out what those root causes are, or when you have a problem, you want to do that root cause analysis, figure out what those are so you can try to fix that. You don't want to start punishing people for quitting. You want to figure out why they're quitting and discourage that from its root.
Right. And I think, I mean, a lot of that comes back to, once again, your play style. And like Pope touched back on, like, you got your map selection. We should have that. There's no reason why we shouldn't have a way to have 3 maps to choose from. People vote. And have a way, once again, to quit the lobby if you don't want to be. You want to be engineer, somebody's already engineer, and you switch. You can leave before the timer runs out. Somebody else comes in their place.
Yep.
And I did like Pope's idea about maybe being able to resurrect the team, even if you go down from 5 to 4. But if one of those people are your engineer, being able to not lose your bounty card, but to slide to a different class with whatever you may have it loaded out on already interface, right? But slide over to engineer and take over as Engie, or slide over to scout if you lose your scout, But I mean, would like to. Why not have a playlist where you could bring somebody in too? Like, why can't we have a option on the menu where you can join Horde matches in progress?
I think Overrun had something similar to that, but not the joining in progress, but the whole switching on a dime.
Yeah, Overrun and Survival in Judgment both. It was right. Whenever you died, you got to respawn as whatever class you chose.
Yeah, that was a really. I don't know. Many things out of Judgment, I'll say that Overrun was pretty much the best thing that came out of it.
Definitely.
Awesome.
And I hope for 5 to bring that back.
That class system could be sort of abused, though, if you can change it as frequently as you want. Doing a every 10 wave type thing. That
what if it's based on you lost a player? Like, like it says, oh, you lost a player. Does somebody want to switch? Or give somebody the opportunity at that point to readjust the team.
Yeah, I think that would be a nice thing to have.
Right.
It's too late for Gears 4 as far as solving a lot of these problems. They've already said it's too much work to go in and change the UI and change some of their back-end systems to allow for this stuff. But in the future, I think we hit some of the big ones. It's map voting and being able to quit in the lobby. Those are definitely, I'd say, the 2 biggest things right now that are going to. I mean, it's funny because being able to quit in the lobby, you think, oh, well, you're trying to prevent quitting. Why are you allowing them to quit? But it's going to make for, once you load into a match, there'll be a lot less quitters.
What's your you did touch base on like people's play styles too with quitting. I think that does come into play.
Yeah, so that's like, so speedrunning's one of those, but you've got, if you're the scout and the soldier or the heavy doesn't kill themselves at the beginning of the match, you're like, oh, these guys don't know what they're doing, they're not giving me the extra money, I'm going to quit.
Right.
Or you have that new player who's running around collecting all the energy when he's not a scout. It's like, oh, well, this sucks, I'm going to quit. And training.
Right.
Training sessions.
I mean, I don't want to touch base on things you already covered on the other panel, but that's where that comes down to, in my opinion, too, is like Pete Razor Edge talked about it a lot. Like
Yeah.
the training mode or the training grounds. Like you got to have a training mode for this game, especially when you introduce things like classes and class cards, and everybody having a specific role. Like there needs to be training, and I think that would help prevent a lot of quitting as well. Like I think that would just educate people before they get into the game.
You could even do just like one class unlocks another. So I mean, there would be an evolution to it.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't
Yeah,
give
so,
players the free option of jumping in and being like, oh well, I like snipers, so that's where I want to start.
Right.
But I mean, at least it kind of weans them into playing each one and seeing why you're playing that one.
Right.
So something I just thought of is occasionally you're going to run into a troll player online who's just trying to dick around, right?
Right.
What if there was... This could be highly abused, I think, but what if there's like a vote to timeout button where like if some guy's being a dick online, if like 3 out of the 5 people all vote and agree like, hey, this guy's running around doing something he's not supposed to, you put him in a 30-second timeout where he pretty much can't do anything. Or
yeah, I mean to me that's perfect. Like we had a situation this was yesterday, and once again, I play on whatever anybody wants to play on. If you want to come in and play normal, you've never played, we'll play it. That's fine. And so we go into normal with 3 of us from the stream and 2 people randoms, right? These 2 randoms are doing the most nonsense stuff you would ever believe, right? And we were almost to the point, one of them definitely, we were like, wouldn't it be nice to be able to just like kick that one person, and this would go so much smoother and so much quicker.
I feel it could be abused. The system could be abused, but it definitely has potential to help people as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think having the game chat, like when you see people type in the game chat and it shows up on the screen, that's helped a lot. We actually use that a lot.
I have a keyboard hooked up to my Xbox right now because it is really nice.
Hey, like you're not the scout. If you let the scout pick that up, we'll be getting. We send messages like that every once in a while through, it does help. It does seem to, help out. But that all comes down to, once again, if they would have just had a training grounds for each class, and, the stuff I think would not be happening as much, and people wouldn't quit as much. So, for sure. Like, what's your opinion? Like, if you're the engineer, do you feel like the engineer should dictate where the fabricator goes?
Yes.
Personally, yeah, but I also play as the engineer, so I don't know how valid my opinion is
my
there.
favorite class, so I'm like, yeah, because I got a base, so I should get to pick where it's gonna be.
So
everybody's got to play to my base. It's like
the hard thing though is think about if the 4 of us loaded in and none of us were the engineer, and our 5th random was the engineer. But we all had a strat, like, okay, we know what we're doing, we have a good strat set up, and then the engineer goes and places the fabricator, like, some random spot.
Mm-hmm. That stuff happens. Like, and it's just like, I've had situations where, I'm a believer that if somebody picks engineer, I let them play engineer. Like if they take the fab wherever they're going to, I'm just going to swing with it, right? Like I'm just going to go with it and maybe throw a few tips, maybe help them move with things like, hey, you can move this just a tad further.
Yeah.
But
I would give it 10 waves.
Up the fab and moved it, and the engineer, like I've moved it not even like just enough like we were talking about for that safe spot. It was on impact. You don't have to take it all the way to the spawn, right? It can come to the first post.
Yeah.
You got plenty of room to bring it up. So I brought it up for him just to help out. He was gone. He quit. He's gone. He's out of there. Like I touched his fabricator. He was out of there. But
what I've done in public Horde, I don't play it that much, but what I have done a few times, I also do the same thing in Fortnite. If someone's building a weird base, is if they're building in Fortnite or if they're the engineer in Gears, I let them do their thing, and if it's something I haven't seen before, maybe it works out well. If it doesn't, I let them struggle for a little bit, and then I'm like, alright, this obviously isn't working, let's fix this.
Right.
So I let them struggle and see why what they did is wrong, and then I'll try to help.
Yeah, because it's like if you do it too early, in my opinion, they're gone.
Yeah.
Like if you start moving their forts without them wanting you to move their forts, they're gonna quit. You know.
If they don't even have mics, or if they're not at least acknowledging that you're saying something, because it's a between. Oh, sorry. It's a mix between someone who doesn't have a mic but can clearly hear what you and your other teammates, if they have mics, are saying, and someone who doesn't have a mic but also can't hear you. So that also brings up a point, because sometimes someone might be new, but it can, in the first situation, can hear you but doesn't have a mic. They could just take up some of your suggestions and probably make themselves better over it. But then the second situation is just a nightmare for pretty much anybody.
Yeah.
The team communication is always like the thing I always want people to have mics, because I always have this thing where if you can afford Gears of War 4 and you can afford the platform that you're playing it on, either Xbox or PC, then you can at least afford a mic, at least a $20 mic, if anything.
Microsoft could give them that $20 mic for how much they charge for that system, right?
Yeah.
So they used to. So
They used to.
right, but that's that's a different story.
Yep.
What was I was gonna say, what were any other topics on the end there?
Yeah, so I was gonna say, so we started off on quitters, moved to speedruns, and what our views on those are, and then we came back to quit penalties and just quitting in general and how to prevent people or discourage people from quitting. Those were really the main topics I was looking to cover today. I don't know if you guys had anything else you wanted to bring up real quick.
Mainly just I think I want to touch base just a little bit on the fact that I know Pete mentioned this a little bit too, but this is Gears 4. It's the beginning of something new. It's a new company. It's
Yep.
I have complete faith that they are listening. They may not respond the way we want them to or as soon as we want them to, but I do have faith that Gears 5 is going to be better. And I do feel like some of the things you guys touch on, the enemy variety, things like that, I think is just going to be huge in 5. Like, it's just, if we look back at the scale of Gears 1, 2, and 3, each game got bigger and more massive and more enemy variants came in. That's just the way this works, is we're starting over in a way. So, like,
Yep.
Gears 5, I have high hopes for Gears 5. I really do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have hope for 5 as well, because I think 5 might fix most of the issues of 4. That, like the chord-wise, campaign-wise, because a lot of stuff was omitted out of the campaign, and hopefully this be a better game overall, because I hope it doesn't pull a Halo 5 where it was like pretty much just split at this point.
Yeah.
Yep, we don't need that. We need the community coming together.
Yep, and that's what we're doing this for, is, talk. Liam said he watched the last, or I don't know if he watched it. He said he was going to watch the last one, so
Right.
hopefully Coalition sees some of these, and hopefully we get some good out of this.
Yep, I hope so
Once
too.
I see this, I want them to remember we need a lore pack with the release of the comics. Now it's like making me go through some of the older comics and items like that. We need Bytalk. We need a lore pack. We need some of the saying in there.
We'll talk to Parasidian about getting a lore pack.
All of that. We need all of it.
Yep.
Let's see. So
I want more campaign DLC. All of that stuff. That's what we need.
Yep.
Yep.
And with that, I think it's going to wrap it up for all the topics for this panel. We're going to go around the room just one last time, let people know where they can find you on social media. So, Grouch, we'll start with you again.
Grouch on Couch. You can find me on Twitter at Grouch_on_Couch, and on Xbox, Grouch on Couch, and Twitch, Grouch on Couch. So, main sources to hit me up on Twitch. I stream 5 days a week, sometimes 6, usually about 7 hours a day. I'm on the East Coast. Twitch is the best place to find me.
All right. Pope.
Pretty much just on Twitter or the Gears forums, Pope Adrian 37. You may hear me talking mostly Gears of War, talk some heavy metal and Buckethead. That's pretty much my main stuff right there. So,
All right.
thanks for having me.
Yep. And lastly, we'll go to Neff.
I mean, my Twitter would be Cold of Fane. I barely use it, but I'm planning to use it more in the future as I am starting to get into the stuff of YouTube. Considering how YouTube is pretty much just a double-edged sword at this point, but I decided to start posting content there next week, and I'm mainly on the Gears of War official Discord and the PC one.
Okay.
Since I think most people will know me from there, but it was pretty much great having me on this panel.
Yep. Yeah, thanks again for joining me, guys. It's always a blast talking to people from the community.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
It's been great.
Yeah, it's nice. And for the viewers out there, these panels are just getting started. Hopefully you guys are enjoying them. And if you want to get involved in a future video, just let me know and I'll add you to the list. And before each panel, I'm going to send out some tweets saying, hey, I'm looking for people who fit this certain criteria. And hey, I mean, that's how I got all three of you guys, was from putting out a tweet like that and having someone respond.
Right.
So
I look forward to it, man.
thanks again, everyone, for watching, and we'll catch you next time.